Yeah, so we still have a problem, obviously.
That's not good. It had absolutely no compression. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be getting back on our 1998 Toyota Tacoma rebuilder. So in the last video, we got this truck driving finally, which is awesome. And then we also went over to the engine to see if we could figure out that misfire. We thought we could figure it out, but there's still that misfire problem. So my dad did a bit more Googling for this video, and we figured out a possible reason about the fuel injectors.
On the internet, there seem to be a lot of people having the same problems with the fuel injectors.
Yeah.
There's a couple of people that have actually cleaned the injectors themselves. Maybe we should just try to do that.
Yeah, we gotta clean them out, I think. They might be a little dirty or something that's causing this misfire.
And if you remember on the last video too, the fuel filter, how bad it was.
Oh yeah, there was lots of dirt in that fuel. So it might have clogged up those fuel injectors or something. Might be why it's misfiring on a few cylinders. So let's pop that hood and see if we can figure out what's wrong with those fuel injectors. Alright guys, we got all those injectors out, and it took quite a bit of work and time because this intake on this truck is in two pieces, and these injectors were at the very bottom of all of it, so we had to take off all the hoses and everything, and we finally got it off. Yeah, all 6 injectors are out. Next step is we're gonna take these cute little injectors and we're gonna blow them out and clean them out and see how dirty they are. So let's get to it. All right, tell us what we're gonna do.
Hey, we found a couple of different videos on YouTube how guys have cleaned injectors just using a can of carb clean, and then you use a valve stem. You take the core out so you don't have that in the way, and then you basically use the valve cap, the cap that screws on here, and you drill a hole in there. The straw will go through that hole.
And then the other end goes on the injector?
Yeah, because it's rubber. The guys say that you take the O-ring off, and then you should be able to force this rubber thing on the end. So I think we should back flush it first.
Yeah, let's back flush it against all the filters and stuff to get all the gunk out first. So.
Yeah, and then we'll spray it against a piece of white paper towel.
Yeah.
And then we'll see how much stuff is actually in there to see what comes out.
All right, so let's try that out. All right, guys, this is what we got hooked up, and it looks pretty chaotic, but it works. So basically, this is the little injector down here. This thing needs to be actuated by electricity, and that's why we have it hooked up to a switch, which is hooked up to our booster pack. So that switch can turn it on and off real quick, and then that's the can of carb cleaner. We're just gonna flick that switch while my dad's pressing the carb cleaner, and we'll see if this works. So let's give it a try.
Just give it a whirl. It might pop off here. That's why I'm just saying we don't know how it's going to go.
Okay. Well, that worked. Didn't quite spray out that far, but...
An actual injection spray now?
Mm-hmm. All right, this is injector number 2. Ooh, a little bit of a leak. Ah! All right, skip a few. This is injector number 6. Alright guys, we got all those injectors cleaned out and now my dad's putting them all back together. It'll be a bit, so I'll get back to you when it's all put back together. Alright guys, we got it all put back together. Hopefully it's all put back properly, but we got one problem, and that's we got one little screw left over, one little bolt.
Yeah, us bodymen, we call those shoulder bolts.
Oh, shoulder bolts?
Yeah, because any leftover bolts, you just throw them over our shoulder.
I see. Alright, well, yeah, we're just gonna fire it up and see if that made any difference. Alright, fire it up. Well,
yeah, so we still have a problem, obviously.
Yeah, still doing a bit of a putt-putt.
Yeah, I think the next step would either be a compression test to see how the compression is in the motor.
Yeah, on the cylinders.
We also didn't do a vacuum test to see if there's a vacuum leak anywhere. We looked at the hoses, but we couldn't see anything obvious, but it almost sounds like a vacuum leak.
Yeah, because these older vehicles have a lot of vacuum lines and stuff, so.
Yeah, and being older, then they get brittle. It seems like it runs better at higher RPMs.
Yeah.
So
that's a symptom of a vacuum leak. So.
Yep, typically, yeah.
Yeah, so we'll have to do a few more tests on this truck, do a bit more investigating. So what we decided is that we're going to quickly scan the electronics in this truck to see if it's giving off any codes, which can possibly lead us in the direction of what's wrong with his engine. So, all right, guys, my dad's got the scan tool getting all set up. Let's see what codes pop up.
A few moments later.
So guys, we just finished up scanning and it didn't actually give us any codes that were very useful, but we did look at the misfiring of the cylinders and we could tell there's definitely some sort of big misfire going on, because we could look on the graph. All those numbers were supposed to be 0, but we had some pretty high numbers, which is telling us that there's a misfire, mainly in cylinders 2 and 6, which is a possible problem, and that's leading us towards the possibility that there's still maybe an ignition problem in the spark, or there's a compression issue with the valve train. The valve might be stuck open, causing the compression to be off. Dad actually had a story about a friend who had a similar truck.
Yeah, there's a guy I know who had a 4Runner, the same motor, 3.4. It ended up being a stuck valve.
Oh yeah.
Similarity of that story and this one is that they both sat for a couple of years. So it may be just because of it sitting for so long that the oil dries out of the valve train, and then the valve sticks open as soon as you try to start it.
So that's a possibility of what we have. So we're actually going to eliminate the possibility of compression by doing a quick compression test. And we actually bought a compression tester right here. And we're going to fire that up and see what the compression is in each cylinder. Well, there you have it, guys. We did the compression test of all those cylinders in there, and most of them seemed to be about the same, about 170 to 180. And of course, that last cylinder was cylinder 6 and had absolutely no compression. So definitely a little bit of a problem there. And yeah, that kind of confirms our suspicion of the possible stuck valve in that cylinder. And the exhaust valve might be stuck open, which is passing all the air just straight through that cylinder, making no compression, which is not ideal for this engine to run So yeah, we don't really know what we're gonna do about that stuck valve just yet. So in the meantime, guys, we actually got a little bit of a surprise. My dad actually has a 4Runner at his shop, which is salvage that he actually bought. Came with these awesome looking tires that were huge. Yeah, go take a look at those. We actually got them here. So these are the tires that came off of the 4Runner. They got really nice glossy black rims. We got these tires mounted, and step back and take a look at these on this truck. It actually looks pretty good. This is like the black rim on red truck kind of a look. They also have a bit more of an offset, so they do actually stand out a bit further, giving this truck a bit more of a stance. So what do you guys think? Should we go with some aftermarket like this, or do you guys think we should go with the original rim look? These are factory accessory Enkai rims that a viewer actually pointed out. Apparently they're pretty rare. I don't know, hard choice. So we need your guys' opinion. So comment down below what you guys think looks better. As well as sealing those awesome tires off that Toyota 4Runner, my dad also took something off of it from the interior that was really cool. There's this really fancy, awesome looking head unit stereo. I actually have it here in my hands. Full touchscreen. If you're wondering what model it is, it's the Pioneer model AVH-210EX. Whatever that means. Yeah, we thought that was all from the 4Runner, but my dad actually went to the back of the 4Runner, opened up the tailgate, did a bit of moving stuff around. He found this like sub just laying there, 10-inch sub with an amp screwed to the side of it. So yeah, we actually brought that here. We have it here right now. So take a look at this. This is the 10-inch sub. It's also a Pioneer, and it's got the amp already screwed to the side of it. That is a big win right there. I'm telling you guys, this is gonna sound awesome in this Tacoma if we put it in there. So guys, we definitely figured out what the problem with this truck is. Possibly has a stuck valve. That's gonna be a big job for another video. So stay notified for the next video and subscribe because it helps us out a lot. And I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya.